Alright, so it's a bit unfortunate what's going on right now, and it's a bit sad to see libertarians doing to other libertarians what other groups do to us on a fairly regular basis, and that is conflating what we say with something we didn't say, and we, as libertarians, rightfully call them out on it, but when we do it to each other, we seem to be rather blind to it. Of course, I'm talking about the controversy over defending Marxists here, and now I posted my video and I've had conversations, and I and many others have been accused of either supporting police in their brutality or being okay with what they're doing. Now, here's where I think the conflation and the confusion is coming from. There are two ways that we could defend the Marxists here. One is justified, one is not justified, in my opinion. We could defend the Marxists by condemning the police and saying what they're doing is wrong and that the police should be held accountable when they take a protester out at the knees and then pepper spray them when that Marxist was simply standing on the sidewalk alone. That is a defense I would happily give to them, and I did give to them, and I have routinely given to many different people with many different beliefs. That Marxist has some screwed up, insane ideas rattling around in their head, but I didn't see them do anything wrong in many of the videos I've seen. The police didn't seem to see them do anything wrong, so I think it can be safely assumed that they've done nothing wrong. Yet the police come in and, as I said, take them out at the knees and then pepper spray them. I am not okay with that. You are allowed to have crazy ideas in your head. So as far as that is concerned, I do defend their right of expression, and I do not believe in any sort of thought crime. Now, all that being said, here's where I don't defend them. I don't defend them when they engage in mob-like activities or when their violent mob mentality is realized and they engage in property destruction or beating the hell out of someone or killing someone. All of the aforementioned activities, by the way, have taken place by their hands as a mob. That's a far cry from the lone protester on the sidewalk not doing anything. I won't be drafted or conscripted into going on the streets for them and defending them that way, nor do I think it would make any sense for any libertarian to do that, again, in my opinion. I am not going to physically aid them in their quest to become the very thing that I just condemned the police for being. That is, of course, jackbooted thugs with a state shield. I am not going to help them on the ground so their group as a whole can burn down yet another private business. I won't support them so they can continue engaging in similar behaviors that I just condemned the police for engaging in, as I just said. I hope that makes sense, and I hope that clears some things up, because it is nuanced. It seems, as I said before, there are two modes of defense that are being confused. I won't defend them in any way that helps them to continue destroying private property or behave in a way that will kill people, which it already has, but I do defend that person who is standing on the street corner seemingly doing nothing, even if they are a Marxist, when all of a sudden a group of police start pummeling them. In fact, in my last video, I clearly stated, when speaking of the protesters who were not engaging in physically destructive activities, that the police should not be messing with them. That's almost a direct quote from myself, I think. I was very clear, and other people have been very clear as well when they espoused similar ideas, and it's unfortunate that some people seemed to have missed that. Because an accusation I've been seeing routinely is that we are not real libertarians because we're okay with civil liberties being infringed for people who don't think like this, or for people who don't think like us. Now, I can speak for myself and say that is abjectly false. I have made countless videos on Marxists and Marxism, and hell, I just made one 3 days ago about Richard Wolff, and at no point did I even imply that he should be punished in any way whatsoever for speaking his mind. In fact, the best place a Marxist can be, in my opinion, is in front of a microphone telling us precisely what they believe. I love it, because that's when I get to have fun and respond to them. I don't want them to stop. So the other issue here is that these protesters, whether they realize it or not, or whether they care to admit it or not, what they advocate for would undoubtedly end up turning into a brutal police state, and it is fair to point out to them that the future they are fighting for now is oddly what they are fighting against now. That does not mean that we think it's good what the police are doing to some of these people. It's just that it should serve as a lesson, and it should serve also as the reason why I won't be side by side with them defending them. I'll give this analogy. I don't want Medicare for all. Everyone would suffer under that system. After all the accumulated capital evaporates and after prices become completely detached from reality, even the people who advocate for Medicare for all right now, which they have every right to do, they even would end up suffering. I want a free market in healthcare, so that doesn't happen, so even the statists don't suffer from their own bad ideas. However, if they get their way and they end up suffering, I would get no joy from their suffering, but it would be appropriate to point out that they did this to themselves, and that's the reason why I wasn't next to them picketing, and I didn't defend them when they chucked a brick through an insurance company's window. In much the same way, it is appropriate to point out to the Marxists that I won't defend them on the streets or take up arms for them. I won't be seen side by side with someone defending them while they set fire to yet another small private business. I hope that again clears things up. So, to sum all of this up, I condemn the police for what they've done to some of these protesters. I condemn the mob brutality for what it's done to some businesses and people. I won't be allied to either one of those groups, but I do support the natural rights of the individual Marxist who was beaten by the police over seemingly nothing. That shouldn't happen, but that does not mean I have to go defend them all on the streets so they can become arguably even worse than the police we've got now. The police of which I have condemned, just to remind people. So it is fairly nuanced. My hope is that this clears some of this up. But in any case, tell me why you agree or why you think I suck. I'm open to it all. Like, subscribe, and share this video with other libertarians, I guess this time, and take it easy.